You know that feeling when someone gets a little too close, a little too fast, and instead of feeling flattered, something in you quietly pulls back? Not in an obvious way. You still smile, you still respond, you still show up. But internally, there's a pause, a kind of silent hesitation you can't fully explain. It's like part of you is watching, observing, waiting for something to feel safe enough before you step in any deeper. Most people don't notice that moment, and when they do, they often misunderstand it. They might call it being distant, or hard to read, sometimes even cold. But that interpretation misses something important, because what looks like distance on the outside often comes from something very different on the inside. And that's where this starts to shift, because this isn't really about being distant at all. It's about people who don't trust easily, and there's more going on here than most people realize. When someone doesn't trust easily, it's rarely random. It's not just a personality quirk or a preference. There's usually a pattern behind it, one that has been quietly forming for a long time. From a psychological perspective, trust isn't just emotional, it's neurological. Your brain is constantly scanning for safety, even when you're not aware of it. There's a part of your nervous system, often called the threat detection system, that evaluates people, tone, body language, consistency, all in real time. It's fast, automatic, and it doesn't rely on logic. So when someone enters your space, your brain isn't just asking, "Do I like this person?" It's asking, "Is this safe?" And if at any point in your life that sense of safety felt uncertain, inconsistent, or unpredictable, your system adapts. Research in attachment psychology shows that when trust is broken early, or even subtly, the brain learns to slow things down, not to punish others, not to be difficult, but to protect you. So instead of immediately opening up, your system does something quieter. It observes, it waits, it gathers evidence. Because for you, trust isn't assumed, it's built, and that changes everything. This kind of response usually doesn't come from one dramatic moment. It's often shaped by repeated experiences. Maybe it was growing up in an environment where emotions weren't always safe to express, or where people said one thing but did another. Maybe it was friendships or relationships that started strong, but ended in ways you didn't see coming, or moments where you gave someone the benefit of the doubt, and it cost you more than you expected. Your brain doesn't forget patterns like that. Over time, it starts to create a kind of internal rule. Take your time, don't rush this, pay attention. And again, this isn't a conscious decision. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do, adapting. The important thing to understand is this: not trusting easily is not a flaw. It's not something that needs to be fixed or corrected. It's a response. And like any response, it exists for a reason. Some people are naturally more open. They trust quickly. They lean in. They give people the benefit of the doubt right away. Others move differently. They take longer. They watch for consistency. They notice the small things most people overlook. Neither is better. Neither is worse. They're just different ways of navigating connection. But here's where it gets a little more complex, because the same thing that protects you can also create distance. Not always in obvious ways. Sometimes it shows up as needing more time than others expect, or feeling unsure even when nothing is technically wrong. Sometimes it means you're fully present in a conversation, but a part of you is still holding back something deeper. Not because you don't want to connect, but because your system hasn't fully decided that it's safe yet, and that creates a kind of quiet paradox. You value real connection. You notice depth, You're not interested in surface level interactions, but at the same time, you don't hand that depth out easily. So people may assume you're closed off, when in reality, you're just careful. And there's a strength in that, because people who don't trust easily often see things others miss. They notice inconsistencies. They pick up on subtle shifts in behavior. They sense when something feels off, even if they can't explain why. That awareness comes from experience. It's not random intuition. It's pattern recognition. Your brain has learned what to look for, but there's also a quieter cost, because when your system is always scanning, it can make it harder to relax into moments that are actually safe, even when someone is consistent, even when they show up in the right ways. Part of you might still be waiting for something to change, not because you expect the worst, but because you've learned that things don't always stay the same. And that tension can be hard to explain to people who haven't experienced it. They might say, just trust, as if it's a switch you can turn on. But for you, it doesn't work like that. Trust isn't a decision. It's a feeling that builds over time, through repetition, through consistency, through small moments that slowly add up. And once it's there, it's real, because you don't give it lightly. You give it when it feels earned. And that says something important about you. It means you don't connect on autopilot. You don't attach just because something looks good on the surface. You wait for alignment, for patterns that make sense, for something deeper than just words. That kind of awareness can be exhausting at times, but it also means that when you do trust someone, it's not shallow, it's intentional, it's grounded, and it carries weight. So if you've ever felt like you're too guarded or too slow when it comes to letting people in, it might not be what you think. It might not be resistance. It might be intelligence, not in the academic sense, but in the emotional, lived sense. Your system has learned, and now it moves accordingly. There's nothing broken about that. It makes sense. And maybe the real shift isn't forcing yourself to trust faster, but understanding why your pace exists in the first place. Because once you see it clearly, it stops feeling like a flaw and starts feeling like something you can actually work with, something that protects you without completely closing you off, something that allows connection, but on terms that feel real. And if this felt familiar in a way you couldn't quite explain before, there's a good chance there are other patterns like this shaping how you move through the world. If this kind of content speaks to you, you already know what to do.